Good evening and welcome back to Untitled Chatter TV. As always, with me, Stephen, and ever-present G over in London. How are you tonight, G?
I'm good, Stephen. Just looking forward to the show and looking forward to kind of previewing tomorrow's game because obviously what a huge game it is. So yeah, all well this end. How are you?
I'm good, mate. I'm good. I think big thing tonight is we're going to endeavour to keep it a bit shorter. Obviously, we had a great show on Monday night with Chris on with us. Really enjoyed that, but it did go on a wee bit longer than we kind of expected. So tonight, we promise we will try to keep it shorter. We want to talk a couple of wee things, and then obviously we'll get into tomorrow night's big game. So with that said, let's play the title and get started.
Arsenal have gone through an entire league campaign without losing. The first time it's
So it's Wednesday night. It's the night before our biggest game of the season, and there is the little matter of that inferior continental European trophy being played tonight. And with 45 minutes to go, as it stands, I believe both Liverpool and City are on the verge of going out. But I think probably City will pull it back. I can't see Liverpool getting the goals they need to come back into it, but certainly I think City still have a good chance. So if you are watching that rather than watching us, why? Because quite frankly, talking about Arsenal is far more important.
Definitely.
If you are watching it and you plan on watching us later on, thank you. As always, our show is sponsored by the Matchday Shop. Dan has been open now for a few days and he has not been quite as active, but he has got some new stuff come into the store. I've seen some Dennisburg Camp shirts and memorabilia in. So make sure if you want to get anything, get in touch with him, make an appointment, go down and see him, or obviously you can check out all the stuff on his website. So, yeah, big game tomorrow night. We really have to win this game tomorrow night. How are you feeling at the minute? Are you confident? You nervous? You apprehensive? What's the mood?
Kind of mixed feelings really with regards to tomorrow night's game. A part of me is really nervous, just because we can never really guarantee what kind of performance we're going to get out of the lads. At the same time, I am also quietly confident because, we are a better team, player for player, man for man, across every position on the pitch. So even though I'm quite nervous, given, the magnitude of the game, when you kind of look at our season and our immediate future as a football club, at the same time, look, if our players turn up and they deliver and they play to their full potential, then we should comfortably, beat Slavia Prague, despite their home record, despite it being 1-1 and they have an away goal, we should comfortably beat them over the 90 minutes. So I am nervous, but quietly confident as well. How about yourself? How are you feeling?
Yeah, do you know what? After last week, I was kind of worried about the game. Then after the performance against Sheffield, I kind of thought, yeah, I mean, that was a good performance. And I know people say it's only Sheffield, but, as Chris rightly pointed out on Monday night, it doesn't matter who it is. You've got to beat what's in front of you. And I still think it was a good performance. There was better teams than us this season have played Sheffield United and, have struggled. And we took them apart with a below strength side, arguably. Although as it turned out, you kind of look at it, you go, maybe that was quite a strong side, and maybe we've been playing below strength sides the rest of the season. So yeah, I mean, I'm actually quietly confident ahead of tomorrow night. I'm feeling, I think we can go and do it. I don't see why we can't. But we'll get into that in a few minutes. The first thing I want to talk about is obviously the news today that Florian Balogun is on the verge of signing a new agreement. Let me just bring this up. Bear with me. One sec. There he is. So, according to Fabrizio Romano, he has signed a 4-year deal and is done and dusted. He beat off competition from over 15 other clubs including some top clubs in there like Bayer Leverkusen, Leipzig, people like that, and also I believe Crystal Palace in the Premier League. We obviously would heard rumours of the likes of Liverpool and stuff like that, but Arteta and Edu have done the job. They've stepped in. They've convinced him to stay. I feel positive about that. I think it's a good move. I think he's a quality striker, but obviously then with him signing a 4-year deal, that begs the question, what is the futures for the likes of Lacazette and Nketiah? Because I don't think Balogun's going to sign and stay with us to be, he's certainly not going to stay in the under-23s next season. He's either going out on loan for the season or he's going to be promoted into the first team squad. I can't see him going out on loan. I think he'll have signed on the basis that he's going to, be in the first team. So it obviously means something in terms of Nketiah, Lacazette, who have a year left each on their deals, and potentially even Aubameyang, who's only going to have 2 years left on his deal at that point. What do you think? I mean, who do you think's going? Who do you think's staying? What do you think's going to happen with Balogun?
Yeah, I think, first of all, I think it's great news that, Balogun is on the verge of signing that contract. Chances are he's probably already signed it. It's just obviously we're kind of waiting for the official announcement, and we know Arsenal are infamous for making us wait with regards contract announcements. But yeah, I think there's definitely going to be a lot of change in the forward positions. So I think Balogun signing his contract definitely means, kind of curtains for Eddie Nketiah. He's not been featuring in the first team of late. And I think with Balogun signing that contract, I think it's clear that, part of, it was all over the press in terms of before he signed that, him staying at Arsenal or going elsewhere was more to do with, not guaranteed first team football, but it was about first team football. It was about playing time rather than money, because let's face it, if the rumors are true, it's not like he was short of potential clubs he could have signed for. So it's really good news that he stayed or that he's staying. I think Eddie's definitely going this summer. Lacazette, it's a hard one with Lacazette because I think at the beginning of the season, I was certain that, we should sell him just because he's never really fulfilled his potential for me in terms of coming in and being that centre forward that we needed to get 20, 25 goals and kind of just take us to another level. At the same time, he works so hard. He's had a really consistent season. And, as of today, as of the other day, he is our top goal scorer. Having said that, I'm still very much of the mindset that this would be the right time to sell him, given the fact that, he is 29, turning 30. He does have a year left on his contract. And I think the last thing Arsenal need to do is tie down another kind of 30-plus player on a big deal, and that player goes on to not quite deliver. Because let's face it, Lacazette, as good as he is and as hard as he tries, he's, for me, I can only speak from my personal opinion. He's not the striker. He's not become the striker I thought we were signing in terms of being prolific in front of goal. So I can see both him and Eddie being moved on this summer. Aubameyang is a tricky one. I think at the beginning of the season, nobody would have imagined that we would even entertain the conversation of, potentially moving Aubameyang on. But at the end of the day, I think the right side is covered with Saka and Pepe. I think Balogun signing, I think he's going to be basically our number 2 centre forward. So it's like, who's going to play there? And then it's a case of Martinelli on the left with Aubameyang. So I could see Aubameyang staying. If he starts hitting form, I'd be more than happy for him to stay. But I could also see a surprise transfer out of the club as well. I can, given his form and just kind of given the season that he's had. So I think Eddie will definitely leave. I think Lacazette will most likely be moved on. Balogun will come into the first team to replace Eddie. At the moment, I think Aubameyang will stay, and I think we will be in the hunt for one striker. So if we kind of look at it as we'll have Saka and Pepe on the right, Balogun and another centre forward in the middle, and then we'll kind of have virtually Martinelli and Aubameyang on the left, even though Aubameyang and Martinelli can kind of play in the middle as well. But that's kind of my view on it.
Okay. I mean, yeah, everything you're saying, I kind of agree with. I think I'd seen someone had commented in terms of Lacazette of what about giving him a year extension so that this summer he effectively has 2 years. The problem for that I see is this is going to be his last chance at getting that big contract.
Yeah.
This is his last big contract coming. He's going to hit 30. He's not going to get, he's not going to do another season and, potentially even run down a third or another season after that. So, 2 more seasons, he's 32. He's not going to get a big money deal moving summer then. He has to move this summer in terms of getting a big money deal.
Yeah.
I don't see, much as I like Lacazette, I can't see a value of signing him up again for another 3 or 4 years on a high value contract because he's going to have no resale value.
And I can't see him signing a 1-year extension either.
Yeah, no, I can't see it either. And he's you're right, he's not the forward we thought he was or that we wanted him to be. Whether that's he didn't suit our system, our style of play, he didn't suit the league, because he was prolific at Lyon, but he just hasn't done it to the same extent. That being said, he's still got 50 Premier League goals, which is still good, but I think we can do better. So yeah, I think Lacazette will go again, like yourself. I think Eddie will go. I kind of question why we didn't sell him to West Ham in December or in January, when we had the opportunity. The only thing I can think of is that they maybe weren't sure of whether they were going to get Balogun to sign, and if Balogun left, then they maybe might have given Eddie an extension. But I think now with Balogun signing, I do think Eddie will be away. And like you say, I think Aubameyang will probably be there for at least another season. Although, as you say, if someone comes in and makes the offer, I can see us letting him go as well. At the end of the day, he hasn't been that prolific player we needed this season. He hasn't been the leader on or off the pitch that we needed. And maybe if we got the offer, let him go, invest that money in someone younger. I want to see him come back. I want to see him, play like he was last season, because Aubameyang's great, and we've all loved his goals and his contributions, but yeah, it's a difficult one with him. But definitely, I do see, as you say, Eddie and Laka both moving on. So great that Balogun signed. He is an immense talent, and if you've seen him play yourself, you'll know that. If you haven't seen him play, watch some of the clips of the under-23s and stuff. He is phenomenal, and if you listen to some of the pundits and people around the club and stuff, they'll tell you, he is fantastic. He's been at the club since a young age. So why he would want to go anywhere else, I don't know. But it's great that he's signed. So, okay. The next thing then I want to talk about before we just go into the tomorrow night's match is the last couple of days on social media. I've seen a lot of talk about this guy, Granit Xhaka, and a lot of people saying, "Oh, maybe it's time to give Xhaka back the armband. He should be captain." And I think this has come off the back of, obviously, he had a reasonable performance playing left back on Sunday against Sheffield United, but they had nothing coming down that right wing. He didn't have much to defend against. He did a job. I wouldn't like to put him there long term. It was a bit like when Flamini used to drop in. Flamini played half a campaign at left back to help out. Yeah. But I wouldn't want to see him there permanently. So he had, I'd say he had a reasonable game considering the opposition, considering what he had to go up against. But obviously there was the whole thing of the player cam and listening to his comments and stuff that Arsenal put out then, I think it was yesterday. To be honest, I haven't watched it because I don't really care. But as I say, a lot of people now all of a sudden clambering and saying, "Oh, he should be made captain again, and next season it should be Xhaka captain in the side." And I said before, one, I don't think Xhaka will be here next season. I think he's probably been told that next season he will be a squad player, and I don't think he wants to be a squad player. I think he'll want to be a starter somewhere. So I do think he'll be away in the summer, personally. But I wouldn't have him as captain either way. And I've said this before. I'll never forgive him for throwing away the armband and for taking off the shirt and basically throwing it away. And what happened to him was wrong. I will never condone the fans for booing him and for the things that were said to him on social media, wishing his family dead and stuff. That's absolutely disgusting. It is. But he disrespected the club in the sense he threw the shirt away and threw the armband away, and that I can't forgive him for. I don't care about what he said to the fans as he walked off. More than entitled to do that. And I fully support his actions in that sense. But taking the armband off and throwing it away, that was disrespect. He can't be giving it back. That's my personal opinion on it. What's your take on it, G? Because obviously, I know we've talked about it before, and we have mentioned it on the show before. We know our feelings on Xhaka and stuff. But do you see him having sort of redeemed himself slightly by his performances recently?
I think what it is with the whole Xhaka situation is that I think we need to kind of look at it like this. Being given the captain's armband, for any club, it is a massive honor. It's a massive responsibility, and some people are made to be captains, and some people are not. And you don't always have to be the most exceptionally gifted player to be a captain of a football club. But you do have to have a lot about you in terms of like your mental state, your kind of mental strength, and just the way you carry yourself as an individual on and off the pitch. And I think that was the reason why a lot of people thought Aubameyang would be a good captain, because he's really positive, and the lads like him and so forth. He's popular in the dressing room and so forth. And I think with the whole Xhaka situation, he was given the armband because I think at the time, he was probably, I would say at the time, he was probably the player that anybody with maybe, who was at the club would have probably picked him, kind of given his attributes, way he plays in the pitch, etc. But the problem is that he disrespected the captain's armband, and he disrespected the club in the way he, carried himself at the end of that game and during that game. So for me, I've forgiven him. And when I say I've forgiven him in that I recognize that what he did was in the heat of the moment. It was rash. It was a mistake. At the same time, I wouldn't give him the captain's armband, because I think in that instance, he's proven that he's not qualified and he doesn't deserve or even is up to the challenge of being captain of Arsenal. So I think a lot of Arsenal fans are at the point where they'll say, let's give it back to him. And I think a lot of it is to do with the state of the club at the moment. In terms of us having, real leaders within the kind of dressing room or on the pitch, they are far and few between. You could say Tierney is a potential future captain. You could say Gabriel potentially could be a future captain. But other than that, we are, it's quite slim pickings in terms of people that you could potentially give the captain's armband. But for me, the disrespect was too much, and while I can sit here and say, I've forgiven him for what he did, under no circumstances do I think he should be captain for Arsenal this season, next season, or whatever season if he stays at the club, because like I say, it's a huge responsibility. It's a huge honor to be a captain for Arsenal Football Club and for any football club. And I think in that instance, he completely disrespected the club, the badge. And yeah, it's one of those things that once you've done it, you can't take it away. And for me, he won't get the armband back.
Okay. All right, a couple of comments then from guys watching live. Chris, the problem I see is whenever Aubameyang don't play, Arteta seems to make Bellerin captain, and like it or not, Xhaka is better than him when it comes to leadership. Yeah, you're right. You're right. I wouldn't give it to Bellerin either. I think Bellerin gets it because he's respected within the dressing room.
Yeah,
and it's the reason that Bellerin's still at the club is because he's respected in the dressing room. And when at the start of the season we didn't have some of those players leaving that we wanted out, the likes of Socrates and Ozil and stuff, who Arteta knew was going to be a problem. He wanted to keep Bellerin around, and that's why Bellerin didn't go. I see all the talk of Bellerin was begged to stay and stuff, and yeah, he was. It was to back up Arteta, because Arteta wants someone in the dressing room who was 100% on his side. Ryan, he's the captain Arsenal need, but it's pointless to give him the armband again. Okay. And then Chris again, would you put the captaincy on someone like David Luiz, who seems to be a leader in the squad and influence on the younger players? I would have, as a a vice captain this season, but obviously he's out injured, and I can't see us renewing his deal in the summer. You know, I genuinely don't see David Luiz being at the club next season. So no would be the answer. And I certainly think if David Luiz is at the club next season, he's not going to be a regular starter. You know, I do see us signing
game time is going to be very limited
back in the summer, and obviously with Saliba coming back as well, I think that side of the defence will be, you know, you'll have Marian Gabriel on one side playing the left centre back role, and you'll have Saliba and somebody else, possibly Mavropanos, possibly somebody else coming in as your right-sided centre backs, and you know, one other, maybe like a fifth centre back as a spare. But I don't see it being David Luiz. I do think he'll be moved on in the summer. So, but it's interesting, you know, that it's interesting to see people suddenly clamouring again because obviously Aubameyang's had a poor season, and now, you know, Xhaka has picked up his form a wee bit recently, and he, you know, he seems to have sort of this discipline a wee bit and hasn't been getting booked and stuff as much. But and I seen a comment the other night saying that, you know, people should just forget what happened, and as I say, I mean, for me, it's I understand completely his reaction and telling the fans where to go, but to throw away the armband was the wrong action. You know, to throw away the shirt, there was other ways of doing it. So for me, no. But yeah, I wanted to talk about that a wee bit. So on to tomorrow night. Obviously, as we talked about, it's a massive game. It's a must-win game.
Yeah,
we can't afford anything else other than a win. Well, we can afford a 2-2 draw, but you know, we need to go there. We need to press from the start. We need to win this game, or the season's done. You know, realistically, it's highly unlikely we'll qualify for Europe through the league. So we need to win this to have any chance of European competition next season. And I don't know if you've seen Arteta's press conference. You know, he said that he's not even contemplating not being in Europe next season.
Yeah.
Much as I want to see Arteta do well, we did this last season as well. You know, all of a sudden, our hopes were pinned on winning a cup to be able to get into Europe. And I can't go through that every season. You know, I want us to comfortably qualify through the league, and the cups are a bonus. You know, we can't keep going through this every season. So we do need to win this year, get us back in the Champions League so that we can get knocked out in the group stages and get back into the Europa League next season. You know, qualify for the Europa League.
A lot of it is about the guap as well, isn't it? It's the money.
Well, this is it. You know, and the Cronkies know that. They know that they need to spend money. If they want to get us back into Europe, so they have to spend money. We are valued as the 8th richest club, or 8th most valuable club in the world. I know. You know, so we can't be that and not spend money.
Exactly.
You know, so we have to spend money this summer anyway. But yeah, getting back into the Champions League would be a massive thing, a massive boost for us in terms of the money. And in terms of the quality of players, you know, I know there's that sort of thing that Don Raiola said there a couple of seasons back, you know, when Arsenal knock, it's a different knock. But when Arsenal knock with Champions League football, it's a different knock to when Arsenal knock with no European football.
Yeah.
So, you know, the caliber of players that we can attract will be so much different if we get Champions League football next season. So with that in mind, let's bring up your lineup. I'm sorry, hold on. Qualify for the Champions League and sign Harry Kane. No, thank you. I wouldn't want them. I really wouldn't. I know he's a good goal scorer, but I wouldn't want them.
Not for me.
No. So yeah, let's bring up your team. So talk us through what you've gone for and why.
Right. Can you hear and see me okay, Stephen? Because I'm just having a little bit of interference.
Yeah.
No problem. No problem. So this is my team. I feel as though at this point, you know, this team really does kind of pick itself. I didn't have much trouble putting this team together at all, really, Stephen. So for me, you know, in goal, I've got Leno number one. I think given the magnitude of the game, we can see that Arteta very, very scarcely rotates the goalkeeper position. So I think, if you're a betting man, you could probably put all your life savings that Leno's going to start in tomorrow night's game if he's fit. So Leno in goal as our number one. Given the situation...
Just before you go any further, what did you make of Leno's comments today? When he was in the conference and they were asking him about his future, and obviously he has 2 years left in his deal this summer, and he kind of was like, "Well, I obviously want to keep playing, but whether I don't mind whether it's here or
it was a bit vague, and it was a little bit like kind of like he wasn't directly saying anything in terms of like he wants to move away from Arsenal, but he was, for me, I got the impression that he was very much keeping these options open. That was the kind of impression I got, which in a way is kind of concerning, because obviously if you have a player that's fully committed, they just kind of shut the door in terms of like any kind of exit talk. But to be honest, he's a decent goalie, but at the end of the day, we've had a number of better goalies than him, and for me, I've kind of got to this point now where I'm past sentiment with a lot of these Arsenal players. I think I grew up watching great Arsenal sides lifting trophies, etc., and I think in this kind of period where we've not been that prolific and we've not won major titles, I think a lot of us have kind of grown kind of sentimental with some of our players, particularly our underperforming players or maybe some of our homegrown players. But for me, look, I've seen my team lose far better players, than Leno. I remember Vieira leaving on a transfer, Thierry leaving, Van Persie. I was absolutely gutted. They're just a couple of those players that I've mentioned. So for me, if Leno decides to leave and think that his future's elsewhere, then you know what? Good luck to him. We just as long as we replace him adequately, I'll be fine with that.
Okay. I just wanted to get your thoughts on that. Okay, so move on with your team then. You've got Leno in goal.
Yeah, so Cedric at left back, obviously given the situation with regards to Tierney, I think, obviously people might say, let's put Saka there, but for me, Saka's got to be upfield. So I think Cedric is our second best option at present for the left back position. So if it was up to me, I'd start Cedric in the left back position. Left centre back position is always a tough one. I find this one the most difficult because it's like, as much as I love Gabriel, I equally love Mari. So it's like both of them are really, really good players, different players, offer different qualities, but I think they're both really, really good centre backs. And I think we're very fortunate to have the two of them play in the same position. I think given, obviously he's had a rest, also the fact that, Slavia Prague do have a couple of pacey players. And I do think that will probably play a part. At the same time, we're going to be moving forward. We need a goal. So chances are that we may even be, playing a high line. There might be opportunities for Slavia Prague to kind of ping the ball up for Seymour and so forth. So I think we really will need Gabriel's pace. So that's why I would pick him over Mari in tomorrow night's game. In the right centre-back position, obviously I've kind of played with the idea of playing Mari there, but that's not going to happen. If it was up to me, I would have definitely played Mari there at some point in the season to see how the two played together. But I think given tomorrow night's game in terms of how important it is, I think you can bet that Holding is probably one of the first names on the team sheet just because he's a right-sided centre back. And in terms of options, he's the best one we've got at the moment. So I play in Holding there. Right back, I'm going to go with Chambers. Obviously, he came into the team. He had a great second half in one of the games where he was being compared to Cafu, the great Cafu, who used to play at Roma, Brazilian right back. He's not quite Cafu, but I do think he's done all right. I think he's done an all right job. And I think against Slavia Prague, I can't really see him being tested too much. So I think he can come in and he can do a job. And to be honest, for me, he's a better option at this precise moment than Bellerin. I know I'm probably going to get slated for saying that, but yeah, I'm just not really feeling the whole Bellerin situation at all. Not being in the side, when he's in the side, I'm not massively impressed. I think his play is very predictable. So yeah, he's lost his pace, so not great defensively. So I'd stick Chambers in at right back. In midfield, it's very simple. I know there's a lot of debate about Xhaka, whether he should be captain, whether he should not be captain. He does have a kind of mad moment in him when he can, be too relaxed on the ball and lose the ball, or we can, he's kind of sorted out his discipline. But nevertheless, he is our best option. Him and Partey in the midfield, they are our best two options. And with this game and this game being so important, I just can't fathom starting El Nene or Ceballos over these two. So, they are the two best options we have. So I guess we need to go with them. Huge game for Partey. I think, we are seeing glimpses of Partey and just how good he can be. So tomorrow night's game is a huge game for him. I think if he controls that midfield and he has a good game, chances are we're going to win. So we really, really need him to kind of, pull it out and give us a £45 million release clause performance. That's what we need. In the number 10 position, it's looking as though Smith Rowe and Odegaard either didn't train or are looking like they're not going to be available for this match. So for me, I would not play Willian there. I would play Saka. I think against Sheffield United, he looked quite lively in that position. Him and Pepe linked up quite well. I don't think it's his best position, to be honest, but I think given who we have available, he is the best person to play, in my opinion, in that kind of number 10 role behind the front three. On the right, I would stick with Pepe. Pepe has looked dangerous, albeit coming off the bench against Slavia Prague. He got the goal in the first leg. Again, he started at the weekend, I believe, against... Did he? Yes, he did. Yeah, sorry, he did. He started on the weekend against Sheffield United, and again linked up well with Saka, and he's looked good. His season kind of going like this, like a yo-yo. It's kind of up and down, up and down. So let's hope he has one of those games where he's more up than down. On the left, I'm going to stick with Martinelli. I think I saw on Twitter today that Aubameyang didn't actually train with the first team squad. Please do correct me if I'm wrong, if anybody's viewing, if I've got that completely wrong. But that's what I saw. That's what I read. So chances are it will either be a late fitness test or he won't be involved in the squad whatsoever. So given the fact that Martinelli, played last match, he got a goal, confidence will be high. He looked dangerous. I know it was only Sheffield United, people will say, but he looked dangerous. So I would keep him in the side and play him on the left. And then up top, I think at the moment, given the fact that he is our top goal scorer, he scored 2 great goals against Sheffield United, regardless of the opposition. He is our best option right now as centre forward. I literally cannot see anything kind of beyond Lacazette starting as centre forward at the moment. If you were to say to me, Lacazette or Aubameyang, and you can only play one at centre forward and you have to drop the other, I'm playing Lacazette right now. He's on form, he's scoring goals, and he just offers so much more to the kind of team in terms of not just goals. So that would be my team.
Who captains it?
Who captains the side?
Yeah.
Lacazette.
Okay, excellent. Sorry if anybody's seen me distracted there for a minute. I was just checking the scores in the games.
All change or the same?
City are now 2-1 up thanks to Mahrez has scored a penalty and Phil Foden has scored.
So I knew they would turn it around.
Aggregate. And Liverpool are still 0-0, so they're on their way out, and City are on their way through.
Yeah.
So I mean, everything you said there kind of makes sense. Let me just bring up my team then. So, I mean, a lot of it's actually there's more differences this week than I was expecting. What I've done is I've picked.
I said same. I said I kind of expected our teams to literally mirror. When I was picking it earlier, I was thinking if there's ever going to be a week where the teams look exactly the same, it would be this match. But I'm quite surprised.
Yeah. What I've actually picked here is the team I think that Arteta is going to go for.
Okay.
Kind of now more and more when we do these, I'm letting you pick the team you'd like, and I'm picking the team I think Arteta will pick.
Yeah.
So Leno in goal, it's a no-brainer. You know, I think he is our first choice goalkeeper. The clean sheet the other night will have done him good. So hopefully, you know, his confidence will be up, and he'll keep another clean sheet tomorrow night. I have also gone with Cedric at left back. As I say, I thought Xhaka did okay there on Sunday, but you know, it's not his natural position, and I don't think that against players like Sima going forward that, you know, we can afford to have Xhaka playing at left back. I have gone for Mari over Gabriel. And at the minute, I like Gabriel. I think he's a great player, and I think he's going to be immense in the future. But at the minute, his confidence just not 100%. He is still prone to a little mistake here and there, whereas Mari just seems to be very, very solid defensively at the minute. So I couldn't really see past him, and this is such an important game that we can't have any risks, and we already have a risk in holding. And it's like you said, I can't see him playing Gabriel and Mari tomorrow night. And Mari and Holding seems to be our best partnership right now. You know, they seem to play better together than Gabriel and Holding, whereas Gabriel and Luis seem to play better than Mari and Luis, if that makes sense. So
yeah, that's actually a good observation.
It has to be, yeah, I think as a partnership, it has to be Mari and Holding tomorrow night. I think he'll go for Bellerin just purely because it's the Europa League and he seems to play Bellerin in the Europa League. It wouldn't be my natural, you know, first choice, as you all know. I'm not a massive fan of Bellerin, so I wouldn't be playing him, but I think that's what Arteta will go with. As you rightly pointed out, Xhaka and Partey in the midfield. It's, you know, it's the natural partnership. Xhaka is basically, he's our best centre midfielder aside from Partey, and we need him in there. We need that position covered. Ceballos, I think, did okay the other day, but again, I think, you know, you've got to look at the opposition that he was playing against, and he seems to enjoy a trip to Bramall. I don't necessarily know that he's going to be able to do it in the Europa League, so I would be playing Xhaka in next to Partey. In the number 10, I've gone for Smith Rowe. Now, Smith Rowe did train today, and it was put out that he is fit and available for selection, so I think he will go straight back in at the number 10, which means that Saka will move out to the right, and I think Pepe will be the one to miss out. I think, you know, although Pepe set up the second goal the other night with a good drive and run, I think overall he was sort of the quietest of the forwards, especially during sort of the first half. So I do think Pepe will be the one that drops down. I think he's going to keep faith with Martinelli. I think he has to now because Martinelli played well the other night, and there was such a clamouring to get him back in the team. He's played well. He got himself on the score sheet, and if Aubameyang's not available, I think it has to be Martinelli play. And as you said up top, Lacazette's pretty much undroppable now. He's our highest scorer. He works well with those younger players, the likes of Smith Rowe and Saka seem to play well with Lacazette. He seems to have a good understanding with them, and we're going to need that tomorrow night because we need every attacking option. We need every avenue into goal that we can get. We need to be scoring 2 or 3 tomorrow night and making this comfortable for ourselves. So, I mean, yeah, that's it. A lot of the decisions, as I say, are the same as yours. A couple in there slightly different. You guys in the chat, Ryan, looks like I'm the only one wanting Xhaka at left back. Why is that, Ryan? Why do you want Xhaka at left back? As I say, for me, I thought he did okay the other night. I don't think the quality of the opposition was quite as tough in Sheffield United. I don't think there was much coming down their right-hand side, so we didn't have an awful lot to really do. I think, you know, with Cedric bombs forward, Xhaka will naturally drop in and cover at left back as he has been doing. I just don't want him there permanently. But, I mean, Ryan, if you can tell us why you think he'd make a good left back, then please drop that in the chat and let us know. Chris, then, his team, he has Leno, Cedric, Mari, Holding, Bellerin, Partey, Xhaka, Willian, Smith Rowe, Saka, and Lacazette. So the same team as me. with Willian instead of Martinelli. I
Not
can
for
see
me.
it. You know, I can see Willian playing. That's the thing. You know, Arteta makes these decisions and, you know, starts Willian in games like this. I just feel that he has to give Martinelli another chance. You know, we played with so much more energy with, you know, Martinelli and Saka, and they have a really good understanding. So if you have the two of them in the wings, and they can both, you know, Martinelli arguably could play on the right wing as well. I've seen him play there. It's only been a couple of times he's done it, but he has played on the right. You know, so all of a sudden, you know, and Smith Rowe can play on the wings. So all of a sudden, you've got those three in behind Lacazette that can be interchanging.
Yeah.
Martinelli could more than likely play as a 10. I haven't seen him do it, but there's no reason why he couldn't. He's got the skill, he's got the technique. He's got that driving ability to be able to really drive at the defence. There's no reason why he couldn't play at 10. So in theory, you've got three that could interchange there behind Lacazette. And it's not what we talked about before where the likes of Barcelona have their front three who all interchange. But if you've got the three in behind the striker interchanging, I mean, that's going to cause problems for defence.
Definitely.
Especially when you've got the likes of, you know, Smith Rowe doesn't have quite the same pace, but he can still play the wing. But when you've got the likes of Saka and Martinelli swapping wings, causing those defenders headaches, I mean, there's no reason why we couldn't come out of this game with 3 or 4 goals.
Yeah.
So, I mean, Willian is, I mean, we're saying our lineups now and what we think we'd like to see and what we think Arteta will play, but you know yourself, every week when we do this, invariably something different's going to happen. I mean, Monday night we had Jack at left back. Tomorrow night it could be, you know,
Willian centre forward.
Willian at centre forward and Martinelli at right back.
Yeah.
I actually seen that the other day. I seen someone put on Twitter, what about Martinelli at right back?
Oh gosh.
The same argument with Saka at left back. Why not put Martinelli at right back? So have Saka at left back, Martinelli at right back.
You have to just have to ignore. Sometimes you just have to ignore it because, really,
I think, you know, all joking aside, we have to take them seriously tomorrow night. They haven't lost at home since I think January of 2020. They are unbeaten in their domestic league this season. They won at the weekend 2-0. You know, they're not a walkover team. They knocked out Leicester. They knocked out Rangers. You know, they're not the walk in the park that we all sort of thought they were. You know, when we heard the name Slavia Prague in the draw, everybody kind of went, "Oh, great, an easier tie." They're not an easy team to beat. They're a hard team to break down, and we've seen that, and they'll fight to the end. You know, they will fight to the end, and that's the thing. You know, so we have to be at it from the word go. We have to get an early goal. They don't need to score at the minute. You know, they can sit back and they can defend for 90 minutes and come out with a 0-0 draw and go through.
Yep.
So we have to go there and we have to attack, which means we have to attack from minute 1. If we get a goal, it draws them out. You know, they have to then come out and attack to try and get the equaliser and keep themselves in the tie, which then opens up the space in behind that we can potentially attack. And we've got the likes of Martinelli and Saka, their pace to get in behind defenders. You know, we should come away from this 3 or 4 goals. Brian, I think we would play more as a third. I think he would play more as a third centre back, and it would be better building up from the back because I think Cedric is poor and affects our fluidity down the left. Okay. I understand what you mean. Sort of go to a sort of 3-5-2 formation. I can't see Arteta doing that. You know, that was one of the options that he could have done, and he seems to refuse, despite not having the personnel to necessarily play the 4-2-3-1. He is refusing to change it. He wants that to be his way of playing. So I could see what you're talking about, and I know Arteta has talked about Xhaka playing as a centre back, you know, if needed, and his discipline improving and stuff. But it's not for me personally. But I understand what you're saying. In terms of Cedric being poor, I think Tierney is our best fullback at the club. For me personally, I think Cedric's our second best. I think he's better than Chambers, and I think he's better than Bellerin.
Yep.
So he's not as good on the left, granted, because he's right-footed. But I think in terms of a fullback, he is possibly the second best at the club, in my opinion. Chris, there just seems a consistent picking of Willian in Europa League games by Arteta. Yeah. And Ryan again, with Martinelli's energy levels and Gabriel's pace, etc., I don't think Slavia's quick players will be a threat. Yeah, I understand what you mean, but again, as I say, it depends on who he goes with. Back Gabriel has got more pace than Mari, but for me, Mari plays better with holding than Gabriel does. So it'll be interesting to see the lineup tomorrow night. What do you think on that one? Martinelli's energy level and Gabriel's pace?
Yeah, so for me, that's they're two players that I picked really, because my lineup was kind of like what I would pick as a lineup. So for me, I think Gabriel's pace is really important. That's why I kind of picked him over Mari. Like I said, both of them are quality players, but I do very much take on board what you said, Stephen, with regards to Gabriel. There have been times during the season where his confidence isn't what it was at the beginning of the season. And the last thing we need is a player who is not quite there in terms of confidence and making a mistake. So, but nevertheless, I'd put some faith in him and I'd play him. And obviously with Martinelli, he's going to give everything. He's going to track back as best he can. He's going to ping forward as and when. He's going to run his socks off because that's just the type of player he is. So yeah, I do think they're having their pace in the side is going to be good. But for me, I've got to disagree with you, Ryan, with regards to Cedric. I think Tierney is our best left back, but I think Cedric's on more than one occasion has done a decent job at left back. It's not naturally his position, but other than bringing Saka back there, I can't see a better option than having Cedric in the left back position. So for me, I definitely would start Cedric as I did in the team. But yeah, the game itself is it's a huge game. I was actually thinking about it. For me, I don't know what you think, Stephen, but for me, this game, other than probably the FA Cup final last season, I would say this is probably the most important game in Arteta's short tenure at the club so far. And the reason why I say that, last year in the semi, no one really gave us a prayer in the semi-final against Man City. Obviously played Chelsea in the final. We turn up for FA Cup finals. But for me, in terms of our season and in terms of our kind of immediate future as a football club, this game is huge. And I would argue and say that, like I say, other than the FA Cup final, this is probably the biggest game of his Arsenal managerial career. And I think, if we lose tomorrow, God forbid, I think serious questions are going to have to be asked of the team and of Arteta, because let's face it, regardless of us sitting here saying that Slavia Prague have some dangerous players, they've got a great home record, they haven't lost since January 2020. We are a much better team. We have a much better squad. We have much better players. So, I think tomorrow night, Arsenal fans are going to be really nervous. We're all going to be really nervous. But I think we're going to be really scrutinizing everything that Arteta and the players do. So I just really hope for their sakes and everyone's sake, we win tomorrow, because obviously we want to win a trophy. We want to end the season well. We want to get to the semis. But I tell you, if for whatever reason we do lose, I'm not going on Twitter. I'm literally turning the telly off. I'm turning off my phone and I'm going to bed, because it's literally going to be the most toxic environment I think we probably ever would imagine it would be. So huge game tomorrow. Huge game.
The thing is, if anybody's watching this, obviously later on, and you drop us a message on Facebook or on Twitter or whatever, and let me know your thoughts on this. When Arteta came in, did you realistically think? And this is for people who are really sort of staunchly Arteta out. When Arteta got the job, were what did you think we were going to win last season? Did you think we were going to win an FA Cup? And then going into this season, where realistically did you think we were going to finish under him with the current squad that we had? And did you think that, we'd be sitting here in the quarterfinals of the Europa League talking about potentially, going to the final and winning it and getting Champions League football next season? I know it's still a very big ask, but it's doable, and it is possible, especially with the quality of the other teams that are in it. There's no reason why on our day we can't beat every team in this competition.
Yep.
So where did people actually think we were going to be? That's a genuine question, because I don't know. For me, I kind of think we're better than what we are in the league. I don't think we're 9th, 10th best team in the league. I do think we should be higher up. But honestly, I didn't see us being any higher than about 7th.
Yeah, that's about right.
I genuinely didn't see it. So where did people actually think we should be? In terms of tomorrow night, you're absolutely right. It's a massive game. It's a must-win game, and it's the biggest game of Arteta's career to date. We have to, as I say, we have to go there and attack from the word go. We have to be full of energy, full of running, and we have to be switched on until the last minute. We've seen how easy it was to switch off last week and concede that goal in the last minute of the game. We can't take that risk again. We need to put this game to bed early. We need to be 2 or 3 up by half time and sitting comfortable. And we can do it. That's the thing. We have the quality of players to do it. And I didn't really see anything from Slavia last week to trouble us.
No.
We talked before in our preview for last week about Sima and about a couple of other players.
Kucha.
But I didn't really see... Sorry?
I think his name, the other striker, was it Kucha?
Yeah, Kucha. I didn't see anything from them to sort of think, they worry me. So we should be confident going into tomorrow night. We should. And if we do lose, you're right. It's going to be absolutely toxic over social media tomorrow night. So we can't think like that. We have to think we're going to win. We'll come on to our score predictions in a wee sec. Let's just have a 3 or 4-0 win. Not the normal Arsenal concede in the first 5 minutes and then are chasing a goal with them 11 players in defence. Absolutely, Chris. I thought we had a shot at the Cup last season. Again, I feel Arteta was let down in signings again in the summer, but I did think top 6 once we added Gabriel and Partey to the squad. Okay. See, as I say, I never thought our squad was good enough. There's too many players that just aren't good enough there. And I'll ask you about that in a wee second. I have another question just for you, G. Okay. Score prediction for tomorrow night.
I'm going for a potentially nervy, but overall comfortable 3-1 win.
It's exactly the same as what I was going to say.
Yeah.
So I'm going 3-1 as well.
Yeah.
So both 3-1. Guys watching live, if you have any questions, drop them in now. And we'll come back to them in a minute. So we talked earlier on about obviously the knock on the door and that old saying that Raul came up with about the knock being different. And, the caliber of player we can attract if we qualify for the Champions League next season, because that realistically is going to be the only European competition we could be in is the Champions League. We won't be back in the Europa League. We're not going to qualify through the league. But on the flip side of it, if we don't qualify for Europe next season, which of these players can you see going because they want to go to a team that's going to play in Europe? Because that's something to think about. It's not just about the players we can sign. It's about what players are we going to lose because they're going to go, oh, well, I want to go and play in Europe.
If I look at the first team, I could potentially see Leno looking for a move away from the club. I think Bellerin is probably going to leave anyway. But I think that's kind of done. I think Bellerin is kind of heavily rumored he's going to be leaving the summer. So
he's going.
Yeah,
but no, it's more sort of the players who are going to leave because we're not in Europe.
I think out of the players, I think out of the players that we've got, I think the ones that would get itchy feet at that point would be Leno, Xhaka, Laka, and Uber. So in terms of just the ones that there are no rumours around, I would say Leno and Aubameyang.
Okay.
I'd say those two.
I think Xhaka's gone anyway. I think he knows he's not going to be a starter next season. I don't think he's going to want to stick around and be a squad player. As I said, I worry. Is the likes of Partey going to go? Well, this isn't what I came here for. I've dropped out of the Champions League to come to a Europa League side, and now
I can't see it.
European football. Saka, I'm not worried about. Martinelli, I'm not worried about. Smith Rowe,
Tierney, no.
Is Odegaard going to sign for us? If that's a possibility,
Probably not.
Is he going to want to come back permanently because European football? Like he can potentially go to a club that will give him European football. There's a lot of ramifications on this. It's not just about the players we can sign. It's about some of these players that we want to keep.
European football is massive, and that's why for me, like I said, tomorrow night's game is huge, and it literally is for me Mikel Arteta's most important game as an Arsenal manager, and probably in his career, because, like I said, the league is done. The only way we can get back into Europe is by winning, the Europa League. So it's huge, and we keep talking about players we could potentially bring in. So, you kind of threw a curveball there, because I don't think a lot of fans are actually thinking about, a massive club like us not being actually in European football whatsoever. We're going to have players that are going to be thinking, hold on, I joined a big European team. I'm expecting to play European football. So yeah, it's a very valid point. And yeah, it's kind of blown my mind a little bit. I had not really thought about it. So I'm looking at the team and I'm thinking Leno and Aubameyang as the kind of prime players that I think their head could be turned if a big team comes in, or a team in Europe comes in for them. Partey, I think he's joined the club. It's too soon. I think if we have a similar season to this season, next season, I think someone like Partey could say, well, actually, you know what? this is not the project that I joined. Even players like Gabriel, for example, could, because if he has a good season next season and he's more consistent, again, big European sides will come in for him, because good centre backs are very far and few between at the moment. So yeah, it's something to think about, which is why, like I say, we keep saying tomorrow's massive. The lads literally have to deliver. There's no excuse. There's no excuse.
I think the funny thing is, I know I've asked that question, but for me, the players that potentially are at the point in their career where they could go, well, I'm a big enough player that I have to go somewhere and play European football.
Yep.
Are actually more the players I'm not as concerned about losing.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's the funny thing is that I'd be more concerned about losing the likes of Saka, Martinelli, Smith Rowe, Tierney. I think I'll be grand. I don't think he's going anywhere.
Yeah.
Gabriel stay. These are the players I want the club built around.
Yeah.
The likes of Leno, if Leno wants to go, fine, let him go.
That's it.
He's not world class. He's a good keeper. Don't get me wrong. I've said this before. He's a good keeper, but he's not the world class keeper we thought he was.
Yeah.
And I'd quite happily, if the offer came in, let him go get the likes of Sanchez or Raya or someone like that. So yeah, it's an interesting question, an interesting thought.
Yeah, it is.
Couple of last comments there. The big players this season just haven't performed this season. Yeah, absolutely. Ricky, thanks for joining us, Ricky. I really think that the only way Arsenal are going to win is Arteta picking the correct combination of players. Absolutely. How much would you want if we sold Leno and Aubameyang? Ooh, good question, man. Leno, 2 years left on his deal. I reckon sort of 30, 35 at most. I don't think you get much more than that for him.
No.
Because goalkeepers generally don't go for as high a fee.
Yeah.
I don't think he's worth probably much more than that. Aubameyang, 25 to 30 probably, given that he's 32. And
Yeah,
he's on such high wages that
we could get 70 million for the pair of them easy.
Yeah,
Especially in today's market. Yeah,
it's getting
especially
someone to buy
market.
Aubameyang and pay his wages as well. That's the thing, it's who's going to pay a big transfer fee for him and then pay him 350 grand a week. I wouldn't say anyone, as they've been here during these times where we haven't really been contending for top 4 or major trophies. Fair enough. Right. Any last comments or questions? Drop them in now while G does his favourite part of the show.
Cool. So yeah, thank you guys for watching. If you're watching this live or if you're watching this at a later time tonight or tomorrow, I really appreciate your support. You can follow us on all our socials. So we are on Facebook, Canning Chatter. We are on Instagram, which is at Canning_Chatter. We've also got a Twitch account. So if any of you are really familiar with that app, you can go on there and you can kind of interact and follow, etc. Canning Chatter. And we've also got our Twitter account. So our main account is at Canning Chatter. That's where most of you kind of interact with us and know us from. So please do get following if you're not. And also follow us on our individual Twitter accounts. My account is at GTalksArsenal and Stephen's account is at SB Canning Chatter. Please do remember, to like, subscribe to the channel, to definitely turn on those notifications so you don't miss out on any kind of scheduled content or any other content we've got coming your way. And I think most importantly, spread the word, guys. We massively appreciate all your support. Those who watch us, those who catch up on our shows, those that interact with us on our socials, on Twitter and stuff like that. But the most, nothing more powerful than word of mouth. So, I have loads of Arsenal fans as friends. I'm sure you do too. So whether at you work, whether you're at home, whether you're on the phone, please do tell your mates about us and also do encourage them to kind of, jump on the lives, interact with us, jump on the socials. And most importantly, hit that like button and that subscribe. So yeah, have a good evening, everyone.
Excellent. Thank you. Just on the Twitch one, I'm going to be completely honest. We don't have a single follower on Twitch. I don't know why we stream to it, but we will continue with it. So if anybody watching this please go on and drop us a wee follow on Twitch.
I didn't even know where it was. Do you remember when you first told me about it? I was like, what's that?
I don't really know. It's something I want to learn more about, but you know what? Until we get some followers on it, I'm not wasting a lot of time going and learning. Please, if you are on Twitch, drop us a wee follow on there. If you don't subscribe to the YouTube channel, please subscribe. We're trying to hit our next target, which is 150 subs. We want to keep growing. We do have lots more content lined up, but we want to start and get some more people following the channel before we start to really put more of that out there. Other than that, there's no more questions. So all that's left to say is let's hope tomorrow night we have a great game. We will be back on, I think, Friday night.
Friday night
to do a review of hopefully a fantastic result tomorrow night and have a look ahead to the Fulham game at the weekend, which is another valuable opportunity to get 3 points. So yeah, with that said, I will leave it there. So good night, G. Thanks for coming on again, and I will talk to you all soon. Good night.
Take care, guys.